Welcome to the Matrix, MCU style.
He who controls the spice controls the universe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Reina Creole, bringing you that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis. And in this video, I am going to be reviewing episode 1 of WandaVision, which premiered on Disney Plus this past Friday. Actually, there were 2 episodes that were dropped. I will be reviewing episode 2 in a separate video. So before I get to the review of episode 1, do me a favor and please do hit that subscribe button. And after hitting the subscribe button, ding that notification button as well. So this way you're notified right away, if YouTube's notifications are working right, that I have a new video or I'm going live, so you don't miss all the spicy takes that I am sending out your way. So with that said, let's get on to reviewing WandaVision. WandaVision, which is an MCU series premiering on Disney Plus, is a callback to the golden age of television as played out through the characters of Wanda Maximoff, which we know is the Scarlet Witch, and Vision, who I like to call Human Siri sometimes. However, this Matrix that we're seeing as a classic TV show starts to drop subtle cues that there's something going on behind the scenes, and what we see on the screen may just be an elaborate diversion. Overall, I thought this was a pretty solid pilot episode. Even if you didn't know the characters, you're introduced as to who they are, what makes them unique, and what the conflict is with regards to the main plot and that strangeness going on that normies can't put their finger on, but MCU and Marvel Comics fans know there's something going on. And you know what? Most of us can't wait to find out what that is. Now, for those of you who have been subscribers of my channel for quite a while, you will remember my review of the WandaVision trailer, and saying that I was blown away would be a vast understatement. Very excited about this distortion of reality that seemed to be going on, but we didn't quite know what the show was going to be about. So I was very eager as soon as episode 1 dropped to go and check it out. Before I go any further, there will most likely be spoilers in this review. So if you do not want to be spoiled, I suggest you tap out of this review, go back and watch WandaVision, and then come back, because from this moment on with the video, if you get spoiled, too bad, you've been warned. Anyway, going on forward with this. So to level set, I'm not familiar very much with the Scarlet Witch from the Marvel Comics. I have seen the character, I know of the character, and I do believe she was in a few crossovers with the X-Men, if I remember correctly, because I did collect the X-Men comic books back in the day. As a matter of fact, still have a stash in my room I need to go through. So I'm not familiar at all that much with Scarlet Witch and Vision until they showed up in the MCU in Infinity War. And for those of you who don't remember, this happened in Infinity War. And this happened in Infinity War. So yeah, Vision is deader than Elvis. So why is he in this show? Interesting. So with this episode of WandaVision, we open up with the, opening sequence for the episode of Wanda and Vision as newlyweds in black and white in what you would assume to be 1950s suburbia. So we know who they are. we know they're definitely, not going to fit in right away, but kind of looking forward to see what's happening. Although the open when Vision walks in with Wanda and there's that chair in the way, you expect him to trip over the chair like in the Dick Van Dyke Show, but he doesn't. He just glides right through the chair. So it's kind of like I thought that was pretty cool. I was halfway expecting him to trip, honestly, I'll tell you. So what you have basically is an A story and a B story. And the A story is obviously this episode that WandaVision that we're watching. And I like to call that, the Matrix. So you have the A story being that Wanda and Vision are trying to conceal the powers that they have, not only during the dinner with Vision's boss and his wife, but also through the whole, throughout the whole kind of episode. Wanda doesn't let the nosy neighbor know that she has these kind of powers, and Vision of course is trying to fit in as a regular carbon-based life form there at work. So I'm not going to go into detail of just what the sitcom was like scene for scene, but what you basically just need to know is the conflict, which plays out like an episode, like an old school episode of I Love Lucy, where you have Lucy thinking one thing, and in this case, Wanda thinking that this day that they can't quite figure out why it's important and they know that it should be. She thinks it's something romantic based. However, with respect to Vision, it turns out that that's the day that his boss, Mr. Hart, and his wife, Mrs. Hart, is coming to dinner. Hence why earlier in the show, you see the calendar that has a little heart over the date of the 23rd. I find that hilarious because you have the obviously emotional conclusion that Wanda made that, hey, this is something romantic between the two of us. And Vision being, the computer that he is, a heart, or Mr. and Mrs. Hart. Duh, right? So I'd kind of talked about the A story. So the B story, which is kind of tricky, it it's almost as if they're the clues to help you figure out kind of what's going on. I shouldn't say figure out because this is the first episode, but the kind of clues that not everything is as it seems. And the first hint that we get about this is you see this commercial for a toaster created by Stark Industries, which we know is a defense company, but they build toasters now. And not only that, the toaster quite didn't work when the red light went off. And what toaster? At least I don't remember any toaster that had a red light that kind of looked like an alert. And just to make things even weirder, the tagline for this toaster is "Forget the past. This is your future." Kind of weird for a toaster commercial, don't you think? Wonder what that could possibly mean. But anyway, at dinner is, I would say, the second um, largest clue in what's going on with the B story. And with that, you have the dinner going on, and of course, you have the small talk, and they delve right into the questions to WandaVision. Basically, how did you get here? How long have you been married? When are you going to have children? Last question aside, we looking in, and of course, Mr. and Mrs. Hart would think as well that you should know when you got married, where you got married, and why you're here.
I think what my wife means to say is that we moved from.
Moved from where? Married when?
Why are Wanda and Vision there? They just drop out of the sky or whatever. Yeah, really. Why are they there? Why are they there in this place? I mean, besides the fact that they're trying to fit in, why are they trying to fit in there in the first place? Of course, Mr. Hart gets agitated. And of course, as you've seen in the trailer, he's banging the table, and Wanda and Vision are looking at each other like, why don't we know? But what we see in this episode is Mr. Hart all of a sudden starts choking. Hands up, whole thing, hands up to the neck. I'm choking. Meanwhile, his wife is played by Deborah Jo Rupp, who is the mom on That 70s Show. Excellent comedic timing she has. Just sitting there as cool as the other side of the pillow, like, oh, stop it. Like her husband's making a big deal out of nothing. And he's still choking. And you'd think she'd be freaking out, but no, she's just like, oh, stop it. And we're just like, what the heck's going on? Wanda and Vision are looking at each other, and Mrs. Hart keeps repeating, stop it. And then she looks at Wanda and she says, stop it. And she keeps repeating that. And it's like a light bulb goes on. And then Wanda looks at Vision and says, Vision, help him. So Vision springs into action, puts his hand in the dude's throat and yanks out an olive or something that looks like that. And the guy's fine. Mr. Hart gets up, straightens his tie. It's been a great night. His wife gets up, makes 2 quick jokes, and walks out, and everything seems to be fine. Oh, and Vision gets a promotion. And it all gets wrapped up in the end. Wanda makes rings for them. They say how much of a unique couple that they are. And that ends the show. Now, this dude just freaking choked. No one's freaking out about it. And yet, all's well that ends well, right? So, we pull out of the scene, and what started off as a black and white show, it turns out that it's a black and white show, kind of like on an old school television. And then we see a modern desktop. We see a notebook close that has a symbol like a sword and a circle. And then we look at a monitor that also has that same insignia. And what you also hear, and it took me 3 times watching this episode to realize it, is there's this helicopter noise that's going on, which is actually going to make sense in episode 2. So it's like, what's going on here? And then the real credits for the show start to roll. So what's happening next? And why are there all these clues? And what's going on? What's happening? So as you can tell, I pretty much really did like this episode. I like mysteries. So all of the Easter eggs that they have in this episode just was like fascinating. I'm trying to figure out, there's the stuff that I can spot, the stuff that I don't quite understand, but I know it's probably going to be important later on down the line. I really like how seamless the A plot is just disguised as an episode of WandaVision. I do like that. I do like that matrix encapsulation. And while you're watching the episode, it's like now we're just waiting for what are those little intrusions of reality? What's going to happen with that? Another thing that I feel is why all this nostalgic TV works. Maybe this is just me. This is my 2 cents. That and $2 probably wouldn't get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. I think Wanda is using television as something in her mind as a safe place. I know for me, when I was a kid, TV always seemed to be where problems got solved in 30 to 60 minutes. And even when things happened in that episode, everything was resolved and the world just seemed perfect. In television, you could see your life as it could be instead of what it is. Now, remember in Infinity War, she had to kill him.
If he gets the stone, half the universe dies.
To destroy the Mind Stone. And then Thanos comes back, uses the Time Infinity Stone, to bring Vision back just to freaking kill him again. Imagine the effect on her psyche that must have been. That's just me. I honestly can't think of anything that I didn't like in the episode, which is rare. If I had to nitpick, I would say that maybe the episode kind of OD'd on the Easter eggs, but not knowing what the other episodes are, it could be that it's the perfect amount. I don't know. But for me, it seemed a little overkill at the beginning. Even though I freaking love the Easter eggs, it seemed like too many to keep track of, especially if you're someone like me who pays rapt attention to detail, and it just seems like there's Easter eggs just freaking everywhere, and I can't keep track of it. But what I will say is that unlike with The Mandalorian, with WandaVision, I've watched multiple times just because I feel like I'm missing things in a good way, and I want to go back and see what particular Easter eggs are, especially after watching the second episode. I wanted to go back to the first episode and see the clues that I missed in the first episode that relate to the second episode. So this show definitely has much more watchability than The Mandalorian. So some of my final thoughts about this episode, as I say in my videos about a pilot episode should at the very least get me emotionally invested enough to want to see more shows from that season in order to find out what happens to the characters. So WandaVision definitely does do that, especially with how they use the B plot to inject clues as to why the A plot's happening in the first place. I'm much more emotionally involved in these characters than I was with the Avengers Infinity War and even Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron was a crap movie. It just was. It just was. If you are a diehard MCU fan, you're probably going to be extremely bored with the pacing of this episode and probably the series. The series takes its time evolving the relationship between Wanda and Vision, which is perfect for developing emotional investment by the viewer for a romantic genre, which this is. Says so on Disney Plus. But it's going to seem much too long and drug out if the action genre is your thing. If you're not into nostalgic television, you may find that to be extremely tedious, and the Easter eggs may not be enough to keep you interested. Also, one final thought, Stark Industries toaster. I really think that should have been a television instead of a toaster, but that's just me. So that is my spicy take. What's your spicy take now that WandaVision has finally has some episodes out? Do you think that the show is interesting? Is it what you expected given the trailer? Was it not what you expected given the trailer? Do you think the show has a good concept, or do you think that it is, like some people have said, a ripoff of the Truman Show, just updated for the MCU? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And do you like all of these Easter eggs, or are they just a pain in the behind and get in your way of enjoying the episode? I'd love to find out what you think in the comments. All right. Okay, so with that said, this is going to wrap this up. Please do like this video, share the video, and again, please subscribe to my channel if you have not. And if you are subscribed to my channel, double check to make sure that you are still subscribed, okay? And remember, never underestimate the power of pop culture. Stay plugged in. Bye.